All right, hey there, everybody. This is Kevin here at Tiger Field on the campus of Troup High School, and we are about to get this big rivalry game underway between the LaGrange Grangers, who are the visiting team today, and the defending region and state champion Troup Tigers. As you can see, Troup head coach Tanner Glisson and LaGrange assistant coach Drew Eady there meeting with the umpires to discuss the ground rules, and we will introduce the players, have the anthem, and then get this game underway shortly. Got a big crowd on hand, as you can imagine. Yeah, it's a perfect day. It's about 70 degrees, I think, just a very light breeze. A perfect day for baseball and a perfect day for a really big game, which this is. Troup comes in 17-3, and they are rolling 11 straight wins. The Tigers are 8-0 in Region 2 AAA. They've been putting up big numbers offensively during that 11-game winning streak. I believe they've reached double digits in runs in 8 of those games, and then you toss a 1-0 win in there as well over Mary Persons. LaGrange is 8-8 overall and 6-2 in the region. And LaGrange's 2 region losses were to Whitewater, and they were both by 1 run. So, you know, a couple of balls bounced a little differently. LaGrange could be 8-0 in the region as well. So they've been playing well. It's a LaGrange team, almost an entirely new team from a year ago. Really one returning starter, and that's Mason Calhoun. This Troup team, conversely, is a veteran team. I'm sorry, I'm reaching into my car, it's reaching in my bag, excuse me, to grab something. We are so proud to meet together baseball to remind everyone that asking for help is but anyway, like I said, both teams are playing well, and it's a big game, the first of 2 games between these 2 teams this week. On Thursday, the scene will shift over to LaGrange High School. And today they are at Troup High School, and whatever happens this week, there's a lot of baseball left to be played for both of these teams.
Greta is a licensed professional counselor.
I think after today, both teams will still have 6 region games to play. And then, of course, we'll be
Thank you, Greta, for the work you do every day to help
heading into the state playoffs for these Troup Tigers. We'll be looking to defend their state championship. There we go.
Let me add, Greta is also a graduate of Troup High School.
So I think we're going to do the player introductions now.
Welcome the Grangers to the field. Number 6, Riley Cockrell.
Riley Cockrell has done a great job in the leadoff spot.
Sam Burns.
Sam Burns has been terrific as a catcher. And there's Mason Calhoun, the veteran.
Number 11, Cam Kisson.
Cam Kisson's been a breakout player as a senior.
13, Blake Miller.
Blake Miller's done an awesome job pitching.
Lakin Tippy.
Lakin Tippy played some last year, so he's had some experience. Mikey Parker's been really valuable for them.
Number 1, Nolan Haynes.
Nolan Haynes done a great job this year.
Matthew Skinner.
Matthew Skinner.
And number 14, Woods Carter.
And Woods Carter rounds things out for LaGrange.
Now introducing your Troup High School and reigning 3A state champions. Number 22, Garrison Edwards.
Garrison Edwards, what a player he is.
Number 5, Brady Willis.
You get out of the way here, Brady Willis. Great job
Number
as a catcher.
7, Davis Monkus.
Davis Monkus.
Number 25, Carson Walker.
Carson Walker, great to see him on the mound last week.
Chase Mosley.
Chase Mosley, 6 home runs he's hit this season.
Courtney Wilson.
Courtney Wilson done a great job stepping into the lineup this year. Jake Perry, the ace.
Number 11, Trey Dean.
Trey Dean was so valuable in a reserve role last year. Torian Delaney does an awesome job at the bottom of the order. So anyway, there you have it. That's the pregame, and we will have more as this game goes along. All right, hey everybody, this is Kevin. Well, what a start for LaGrange. The leadoff hitter, Riley Cockrell, reached on a base hit. And then Sam Burns just got a bunt down for a base hit. So really, LaGrange cannot have scripted a better start here in the top of the first inning here. And LaGrange is going to run for Sam. All right, so this is the top of the first inning here. Jake Perry is on the mound for Troup, and he's as good as they come in big games. And once again, Riley Cockrell reached on a base hit, leading off. And then Sam Burns reached on a bunt single. So LaGrange has 2 on and no out here in the top of the first inning. And Mason Calhoun is at the plate for the Grangers. And Mason really hits that ball hard. Right down the line. Coach Richie Barber hustling down there to get the baseball. So an 0-2 count on Mason. And once again, that is Jake Perry pitching for Troup. And if you followed this team the past couple years, you know how good he's been. During that state championship run last year, Jake was the game 1 starter for every single one of those playoff series, and he came through big time in each one of those games, including game 1 of the championship series against Cherokee Bluff. And he was also, I mentioned in our little pregame, Troup's been scoring a bunch of runs, but they also had a 1-0 win over Mary Persons. That was close. They had a 1-0 win over Mary Persons, and it was Jake Perry who was on the mound for 7 of the 8 innings in that game. So it's 2-2 now. Nice play by Jake. Really nice play. So Mason hit the ball right up the middle. And so that could have snuck past Jake for a base hit. But instead, Jake makes the play and gets the force out at third. So now LaGrange has runners on first and second. And 1 out. And Cam Kisson coming to the play for LaGrange, and Cam is really a nice story for the LaGrange team. He's a senior, waited his turn, and he is really having a very solid season. has been just a key member of this lineup. I was able to talk to Cam after a big win over Sandy Creek last week, and he's just he's really happy to be able to get out there and contribute and show the LaGrange folks what he can do. And once again, a bouncer back to Jake. Does not field it cleanly, but he hangs with it and gets the out at first for the second out. So now LaGrange has runners on second and third. And 2 outs. And this is Lakin Tippy hitting for LaGrange. And again, Lakin did get pretty significant playing time last season. So he is one of the LaGrange players who did come into the season with some varsity experience. So again, second and third here. 2 outs for LaGrange, and you know they would love to put up a couple of runs here. But Jake Perry is just so clutch again. Just nerves of steel. The bigger the situation, the better he is. So it's an 0-2 count now. And that was a little high. It's a good job by Lake in there to take that one to 1-2, 2 outs, top of the first inning. And LaGrange has runners on second and third. And Jay gets a strikeout to end the top of the first inning. So LaGrange got 2 runners on in the top of the first. Riley Cockrell got a base hit leading off. Sam Burns reached on a bunt single. But Jake comes back, gets a force out at third for the first out. Then got a ground out for the second out. And as you just saw, gets a strikeout to end the inning. So Jake gives up a couple hits, but comes back strong and gets out in the inning without any runs scored. Now pitching for LaGrange today is senior Blake Miller. You can see warming up there. Left-hander, really outstanding stuff. And he's had some terrific outings this season. He's also had a few games where he struggled a bit, and usually it's been command. He's just kind of lost control of the strike zone a little bit. If he's on, which obviously LaGrange is hoping he is today, if he's on, he can be really tough to hit. Nice shot by Mason Calhoun. Reach up and snag that one, and Blake is pitching. His catcher today is Sam Burns. Again, just another one of these players that's new to the lineup this season. And Sam's done an outstanding job, not just defensively, catching, working with the pitchers, but also he has been one of their most consistent hitters. So leading off this game for Troup is Garrison Edwards. And what can you say about Garrison? He's the left fielder, terrific defensive player, and you would be hard pressed to find a better leadoff hitter in the state of Georgia. He has power, he has speed, plate discipline. And takes the first pitch out of the strike zone. Again, so many reasons Troup won a state championship last season, and Garrison was near the top of the list. Garrison is also a terrific football player. He's a quarterback for the Troup Tigers, and he's actually going to the U.S. Naval Academy to play football, which is just awesome. That says a lot about his athletic ability, but also what he's done as a student and the kind of person he is. So Blake Miller has got a 1-2 count here on Garrison. There he had a great start by Blake Miller, getting a strikeout of Garrison Edwards to start the bottom of the first.
Up to bat number 5, Brady Willis.
So again, with Blake, you know the stuff is there, and if he locates his pitches, he can be really, really tough. And here is Brady Willis, the junior catcher for Troup, and what a job he has done these past couple of seasons. Again, not just defensively, he's so solid behind the plate, but just a really outstanding hitter. Yeah, he had a walk-off hit in one of Troup's playoff games last season. So that's a 2-1 count on Brady. And that pitch was called a ball, so it's 3-1. And that one's out of the strike zone, so Brady Willis reaches on a 1-out walk, and Coach Tanner Glisson will run for Brady.
Number 7, Davis.
And here comes Davis Monk. It's good to see Davis back in the lineup. He actually missed a game against Sandy Creek last week. Very minor injury. Obviously, they wanted to make sure he was at full strength for this series, and Davis is back in the lineup today. Davis is an outfielder and also a pitcher. And if you remember Game 3 against Cherokee Bluff last year in the championship series, Davis pitched a complete game. What a performance that was. And there's a strike for Blake. And also congratulations to Davis, along with teammate Chase Mosley. He's received an offer to Georgia Southern to play baseball, which is really cool. Davis and Chase both have another school year remaining. They're both juniors. So it's a 1-1 count on Davis. And that one's just out of the strike zone, so 2-1 count now. Davis has power. If he gets a pitch he can handle, he can drive it out of here. And Davis Munkus just got hit by that pitch. So now Troup has runners on first and second after a walk and a hit batter. And this Troup lineup is absolutely relentless. You know, there are some lineups where you feel like if you get past the top 3 or 4 hitters, maybe you might get a break. That is not the case with this lineup. There aren't any weak spots, 1 to 9. I mean, the number 9 hitter, Torian Delaney, is an on-base machine. And here's Carson Walker. What a valuable player he is, third baseman. And he had an injury last year, an arm injury. He was a standout pitcher. And he made his return to the mound last week and get Sandy Creek, pitched, I think, an inning in the third. So it's really good to see him back out there. And so Carson comes up now with runners on first and second, 1 out. And Carson puts a charge into that one, but Lake and Tippy, a nice running catch out there. So Carson really hit that ball hard, but it was caught. Nice job by Lakin. And here is a guy who's having an awesome season for Troup, Chase Mosley. 6 home runs, well, 5 regular season home runs, and he also hit 1 in a scrimmage game. So let's see what Blake can do with Chase. Obviously, it's going to be a tough guy to get. And that's the swing to Blake with a nice little off-speed pitch there. I wonder if Chase was thinking he was going to get a fastball. He didn't. So it's 0-1. And there's another strike. So nice job by Blake. He's got an 0-2 count on Chase Mosley. And Chase puts the ball in play. Nice job by Riley Cockrell at short. Cleanly fields the grounder and makes the throw to first for the 3rd out. So nice job by Blake. Walks the batter, hits another batter, but Blake settles in. And anytime you can hold this Troup team scoreless in the inning, you feel good. So we have played 1 inning and we're scoreless. And I will be right back.
Mind over now t-shirts are for sale for $15. Limited sizes and quantities. Contact the $9 to purchase.
All right, so we are 1 inning in here. And Troup and LaGrange are scoreless. Both teams got 2 runners on in the first inning. Coach Barber, the legend, Coach Richie Barber. Like I said, both teams got 2 base runners on in the first inning, but Jake Perry for Troup and Blake Miller for LaGrange both did a really nice job of getting out of trouble without any run scoring. So that's where we stand. Oh, what a perfect day this is. Now, where would you rather be on a day like this than watching some great high school baseball? Here's Mikey Parker, who's been a really valuable player for LaGrange this season. He's been done a nice job at the plate and in the field. Torian Delaney, again, you talk about a versatile, valuable player. Mikey Parker, I was mentioning, also done a really nice job pitching for LaGrange this season. That was Torian Delaney at second. He's a guy can play anywhere on the field, outfield. Just really good second baseman. And like I mentioned earlier, he is an on-base machine, and when he gets on base, he makes stuff happen. So just up and down this Troup team. Just you look at these players and you can see why they have that state championship banner out there on the outfield fence. This is Nolan Haynes is hitting for LaGrange. Again, another one of the players that's new to the lineup this season, but Nolan has done a really nice job. So one out here, top of the second, 2-0 count. And Nolan puts that ball in play, and Trey Dean calls off Davis Munkus and Torian Delaney and makes the play. So two pretty quick outs here. It's been an uneventful inning so far for Jake Perry. And now Matthew Skinner steps to the plate for LaGrange. Say Jake Perry, once he settles in, he's usually really tough. That's why it would have been for LaGrange. It would have been so nice to be able to scratch a run or two across in that first inning, because you know how tough it is against Jake. Yeah, he has definitely found the strike zone now. So that's 1-2 on Matthew Skinner. And that one's out of the strike zone. So a 2-2 count on Matthew. Oh, what a play. Oh, my goodness gracious. What a play by shortstop Chase Mosley. That sure looked like a base hit, but Chase not only makes the play, but then he hops up and throws a strike to first. That's pretty special stuff. Again, I know when I talk to these Troup pitchers, they consistently mention how nice it is to have a defense like that. Knowing that if the ball's put in play, there's a good chance Troup is going to make the play. And that was one there that you figure that's a base hit. I mean, it sure did look like a base hit. But Chase Mosley, again, makes the play. It throws a strike to first. So that was a 1-2-3 inning for Jake Perry with the help of that play by Chase. Now we head to the bottom of the second. And Blake Miller, nice job in that first inning. Again, he walked a batter and hit a batter, but he shrugged that off and got out of the inning unscathed. So this is first baseman Courtney Wilson. Courtney was not a starter last season, but he did play quite a bit. I remember he had one game here where he hit 2 home runs in a game. So he has stepped into that starting lineup this season. I think he and Trey Dean are kind of the 2 new starters, but both guys played a lot last season. And Courtney Wilson just took a pitch right off his back there. So Courtney Wilson is hit by a pitch, leading off the bottom of the second. So Troup has a base runner, and here is Jake Perry, the pitcher for Troup, and also a really good hitter. And that pitch is out of the strike zone, so that's a 1-0 count now on Jake Perry. Again, Courtney Wilson got hit by a pitch, leading off the bottom of the second. And Jake Perry is hit by a pitch. So Blake Miller has started the bottom of the second by hitting 2 consecutive Troup batters, and that's actually 3 hit batters in the first 2 innings here.
Up to bat, number 11, Trey Dean.
And here is Trey Dean. Again, he was not a starter last year, but Trey had some special moments in the playoffs. When he was called upon, he really came through in a big way. Let's see. Could be attempting a sacrifice here, but we'll see. Looks like Trey did kind of square up there. So we'll see if he actually follows through and does attempt to bunt. And all these guys are such good disciplined hitters. And that one's out of the strike zone. See Sam Burns throws down to second. So 2-0 count now. And runners on first and second and no out. So Blake really needs to find the strike zone here. And that one's out of the strike zone as well. So that's 3-0, and Trey will 100% be taken here to try to load the bases. And there's a strike. So that makes it 3-1 on Trey Dean. There's another strike. So nice job by Blake after falling behind 3-0. Gets 2 straight strikes. So now it's a 3-2 count on Trey Dean. You see Blake attempts the pickoff there. But nice shot by Courtney getting back. So a 3-2 count here on Trey Dean. Close, but just out of the strike zone for ball 4. So with no outs, Troup has the bases loaded. And once again, with a lot of lineups, you'd feel you get to the 9th spot in the order, you might feel okay. Not here, not with Torian Delaney, the number 9 hitter. And there you see Coach Clancy Alford. How awesome is it to see him out here? Coach Clancy Alford is talking to Blake and the other players on the mound. And again, Troup has loaded the bases, but they have not hit the ball yet. 2 hit batters and a walk. So Troup has the bases loaded.
Number 4, Torian Delaney.
And Torian Delaney at the plate. And he is, Coach Tanner Glisson calls him a second leadoff hitter, and that's a great way to put it. It seems like he is always on base, and boy, he is electrifying when he gets on base. Remember, he stole home to win a playoff game last year. There's another ball. By Blake Miller. To see LaGrange is getting some action in the bullpen. And that was out of the strike zone as well, so 2-0 count now. We'll see if Coach Shivers over there at third base. See if Torian has the takes on. I think he was taken. So Blake gets a much needed strike there. So it's a 2-1 count now on Torian Delaney. And that was way out of the strike zone. And that was Courtney Wilson that came home on the wild pitch there. And that also makes it a 3-1 count now. So the game's first run is Courtney Wilson scoring on a wild pitch to give Troup a 1-0 lead. And that's out of the strike zone. So now Torian Delaney walks, and the bases are loaded with leadoff hitter Garrison Edwards coming up. And I think, let's see if LaGrange is going to make a pitching change. They are again. Blake did not give up a hit in this game, but like I mentioned beforehand, he just struggles at times to find the strike zone. But he'll certainly learn from this, and he'll come back strong in his next outing. All right, this is Matthew Gatens into the game now for LaGrange. Again, doesn't take much to make me feel old these days, but I remember Matthew's dad, Ryan, who was a guy I covered in high school at Callaway High School. Does not seem like it was that long ago, and now here's his son pitching for LaGrange. And he has done a very nice job for them. And he inherits a tricky situation. Bases loaded, no outs, a run already in, and one of the best players in the state at the plate, and Garrison Edwards. And Garrison takes a ball. That was the first pitch from Matthew Gaydens out of the strike zone, so 1-0 count now. Very dangerous hitter here in Garrison Edwards, and that's 2-0. and he will definitely be given the hit sign here. If he gets a pitch he likes, he'll swing. And he did. And that actually hit his foot. Hope he's all right. That hit his foot and rolled a long way, all the way down to the third baseman. All right, a 2-1 count on Garrison Edwards, and now that 3-1 count. Remember, the bases are loaded. So a walk means another run, and Troup does not have a hit yet this inning. Garrison just misses, putting that one out of the park. So instead it is a sacrifice fly. So Garrison drove that one deep to center field, just shy of the state championship banner out there. But it is an out. It's also a sacrifice fly for Garrison to make it 2-0. And now here's Brady Willis with the runners on first and second. Torian Delaney at first. Trey Dean on second. And there's Matthew Gaydens. Starts Brady with a strike. And there's another strike. So nice job by Matthew. Make it 0-2 on Brady Willis. And Brady takes an 0-2 pitch the other way for an RBI single. Trey Dean scores, and Torian Delaney puts the brakes on at third. So really nice job there by Brady. Takes an 0-2 pitch and serves it the other way for the RBI single to give Troup a 3-0 lead now. And Troup still has runners on first and third with just one out. And now Davis Munkus at the plate. Again, just no breaks in this lineup if you're an opposing pitcher. And really nice job there by LaGrange catcher Sam Burns. Block that pitch, possibly save a run. And Davis puts the ball in play, but it's foul down the third base line. So it's a 1-1 count on Davis Munkus. And Davis takes that one high. Davis, and this is really cool, Davis Munkus and a handful of players from this Troup team were teammates on a Diamond Youth baseball team that won the World Series a few years ago. And now here they are in high school, and Davis rips that one to center field for the RBI single. And Davis just absolutely wrecked that ball. Drove it to center field.
Up to bat, number 25, Carson Walker.
So 4-0 now. So Brady and Davis with back-to-back RBI singles. And now you get Carson Walker. And there's a strike for Matthew Gatens. Again, this inning started with Blake Miller on the mound and a couple of hit batters and a walk. And then Garrison Edwards had a sacrifice fly. And then Brady Willis, Davis Munkus, back-to-back RBI singles. And Carson Walker, nice job by Matthew. Fields the grounder off the bat of Carson Walker and makes the throw to Mason Calhoun. So 2 outs now. And here is Chase Mosley, who has been red hot this season. There's a nice pitch by Matthew. Get this at bat. Sorry with the strike. And that's foul ball by Chase. So an 0-2 count now. All right, 0-2 count, and Chase got kind of tired of waiting there, calls timeout. And Chase puts the ball in play, and that is a base hit up the middle. And 2 more runs score on that 2-run single by Chase Mosley. Got a 2-strike pitch he could handle, and he hit it hard on the ground right up the middle. And this is now a 6-run inning for the Tigers, and they lead 6-0. Now Courtney Wilson steps to the plate for Troup. Again, with this Troup lineup, if you give them free base runners, there's a good chance they're going to make you pay. And Troup has done that this inning. Courtney with a big swing and fouled it off. Troup is going for its 12th straight win today. And that was up out of the strike zone, so it's a 1-1 count now. And there goes Chase again. Tremendous speed. And Chase steals second. And there's a nice pitch by Matthew Gadens to make it 2-2. And that was just up and out of the strike zone. So it's a full count. And Courtney drives that one. We'll see if Lakin can get to it. He cannot. So Courtney rips that one to center field for the RBI double to make it 7-0. So Troup is really pounding the ball this inning. Garrison Edwards got the scoring started with the sac fly. Brady Willis, Davis Munkus had back-to-back RBI hits. Courtney Wilson, as you saw there, with the RBI double. Chase Mosley, almost forgot Chase. Chase had a 2-run single. So once again, like I mentioned before, this Troup lineup is just relentless. They come at you 1 through 9. And if you give them some free base runners, then there's a good chance this is going to happen. So Troup has scored 7 runs this inning, and they're still hitting. All right, sorry about that. Didn't mean to end that live video. So we'll start again here. And this is Jace Foster on the mound now for LaGrange. And he is facing Jake Perry. So again, to recap, we're in the bottom of the 2nd inning. Troup is leading 7-0. Troup has scored 7 runs here in the bottom of the 2nd. Garrison Edwards had a sacrifice fly. Brady Willis, Davis Munkus had back-to-back RBI hits. Chase Mosley had a 2-run single. Courtney Wilson had an RBI double. And now Jake Perry is at the plate. That was Bobby, the home plate umpire. I think if you're familiar with high school in this area, you've seen Bobby calling games. I think he got hit. So hopefully he's okay. So this is Jace Foster pitching for LaGrange, trying to get the Grangers out of this inning. And this is Jake Perry. It'd be interesting at the top of the 3rd. Jake has really been sitting a long time, and see how that impacts him when he goes back out to the pitcher's mound. And that is strike. Again, that's Courtney Wilson. I was on 2nd. Courtney drove a ball deep to center field for an RBI double to give Troup a 7-0 lead. And it's a nice play over there. That was a nice play. I think that was Riley Cockrell, the shortstop, who fielded that ball and threw to 3rd. Had no chance at first, so he threw to to third to try to get Courtney Wilson. Courtney was able to get under the tag and reach safely, so now it's first and third for Troup, and Trey Dean comes to the plate for the Tigers. And Trey takes a strike from Jace Foster to make it 0-1. And there goes Jake. Obviously intentionally trying to get into the rundown. And okay. Jake makes it to second. So Jake Perry intentionally got into a rundown situation, and LaGrange wary of Courtney Wilson taking off from third. So Jake ends up making it to second. So now it's runners on second and third for Trady, and Trey takes that one up out of the strike zone, so it's 1-1. And that one's also out of the strike zone, so now Trey Dean has a 2-1 count with runners on second and third, and Troup is up 7-0. And Trey fouls that one off. You're good, Coach Ward.
I got cataracts. I can't see. I'll make sure it ain't going to hit me.
All right, so 2-2 count now. Jace Foster to Trey Dean. That was out of the strike zone, but once again, nice job by Sam Burns, catcher, to block that one. And Trey Dean walks, so Troup has the bases loaded. Torian Delaney coming up for the second time this inning.
Number 4, Torian Delaney.
And like I mentioned before, Torian Delaney might be the number 9 hitter in this lineup. You put him on just about any other team, there's a good chance he would be hitting leadoff. And it says a lot about this lineup that he is hitting 9, but they really like having him down there in that spot. And ball gets away, and Courtney Wilson is able to come home to give Troup an 8-0 lead. So now runners on second and third for Troup. Again, if you go back, look at the previous video, previous live video. I did not mean to stop that one, but if you go check that out, you could see how Troup scored most of its runs this inning. So Torian Delaney takes that one out of the strike zone. So it's a 2-0 count now. And Torian had the swing sign on 2-0, and he took a big hack at it, fouls it off. So it's a 2-1 count. Close pitch. It's called low, so 3-1. And got the top of the lineup for Troup coming up. There's a strike by Jace, so 3-2. Torian Delaney fouls that 3-2 pitch off. So again, we are in the bottom of the second inning, and Troup is leading 8-0. And that one is out of the strike zone. So Torian Delaney walks to load the bases. Jake Perry on third, Trey Dean on second, Torian Delaney on first, and leadoff hitter Garrison Edwards at the plate. There's a nice pitch by Jace for the gets this at bat started with the strike. And Garrison Edwards fouls that pitch off, so 0-2 count as Troup has the bases loaded, 2 outs. And the Tigers have scored 8 runs this inning to take an 8-0 lead. And that pitch is low. So it's a 1-2 count now from Garrison Edwards. And that one is also low, so the count is now 2-2. Garrison Edwards, such a dangerous hitter. Garrison with that big swing there. I think he was thinking about clearing the bases with a grand slam, but he fouls it off. So the count remains 2-2 on Garrison Edwards. And Garrison calls time. And now the count is full, which means everybody's going to be taking off here. So a 3-2 count on Garrison Edwards. Troup already up 8-0 with 8 runs here in the bottom of the second. And Garrison fouls that one off. So all the base runners will return to their base. And we will start the cycle again. A 3-2 count. Garrison Edwards at the plate for Troup. And that's an RBI the hard way. So they're not showing a whole lot of sympathy for Garrison on that one. So anyway, Garrison Edwards is hit by a pitch with the bases loaded. So that's an RBI. And that makes it 9-0. And LaGrange is going to make another pitching change. Or maybe Coach Offer's just going to meet with the guys. All right, there you can see the scoreboard here at Tiger Field. Troup has scored 9 runs in the bottom of the second, and they're not done. Troup has the bases loaded, 2 outs. And Brady Willis, one of the guys who has contributed to this 9-run inning. Brady had an RBI single earlier in this inning.
Up to bat number 5, Brady Willis.
All right, Brady has the bases loaded here. And that first pitch by Jace is out of the strike zone, so 1-0 count. And you kind of wonder if Jake Perry, how much longer he'll go in this game. This has been a long, long inning. And Brady fouls that one off. Jake is actually going to head to the pin. Loosen up a little bit. And Brady fouls that one off. And it's out of play. Again, Jake Perry, 2 scoreless innings, but he is really, well, he hasn't been sitting. He's actually hit twice this inning, but he has gone a long time without pitching. So he's just going to warm up a little bit. So it's a 1-2 count here on Brady Willis. And that was out of the strike zone. And Troup is up 9-0 here in the bottom of the second. And Brady puts that one in play. And Troup gets the force out. Mikey Parker makes the play. But that was a great inning for the Tigers. Troup scores 9 runs in the bottom of the second to take a 9-0 lead. You see head coach Tanner Glisson telling the guys, don't give them any momentum. So again, if you want to see how Troup scored most of the runs in that inning, go to the previous live video. I did not actually mean to stop that video, but I did. But you can go check that one out and see how Troup scored most of their runs in that second inning. And we're heading to the 3rd inning, and Troup is leading 9-0. And I will be back.
Trey, not too deep here.
All right, hey everybody, we're back. Top of the third inning. And LaGrange is leading, or excuse me, Troup is leading 9-0. And this is Woods Carter hitting for LaGrange here as the Grangers look to get something going. LaGrange had a chance in the top of the first inning. They got the first two runners of the game on. Riley Cockrell got things started with a base hit. Sam Burns reached on a bunt single. But Jake Perry got out of that inning without any run scoring. And then Jake had a perfect top of the second with shortstop Chase Mosley making a great play for the third out. And now Jake Perry is back out for his third inning. And Jake gets the top of the third star with a strikeout. And we're back to the top of the lineup for the Grangers with Riley Cockrell at the plate for LaGrange. Riley's done a really nice job this season at the shortstop position, and he's been one of LaGrange's most consistent hitters. So it's 1-1 count here on Riley Cockrell. And another strike. What a run this has been for Jake Perry these past couple seasons. Again, like I've mentioned before, he is just a consummate big game pitcher. The higher the stakes, the brighter the lights, the better Jake is. He was so good during that playoff run last year. And Riley fouls off a tough two-strike pitch. And Riley fouls off another two-strike pitch, so remains 2-2. Top of the third inning, and Troup is leading 9-0 after scoring 9 runs in the bottom of the second. And Riley puts the ball in play, but Trady and comes in a few steps. Makes the catch in right field. So 2 outs now in the top of the third. As Jake Perry has really settled in. Again, Jake gave up hits to the first 2 batters, but he has been perfect since then. And this is Sam Burns at the plate now for LaGrange, catcher for the Grangers. And Sam puts the ball in play, hits it pretty well, but Trady makes the play. So that is a second consecutive perfect inning for Jake Perry. So we are headed to the bottom of the third, and Troup is leading 9-0. Again, if you want to see how Troup scored most of its runs in that second inning, you can watch the previous live video on this page. It was an inning that started with a couple of hit batters and a walk. And then Garrison Edwards had a sacrifice fly for Troup. Brady Willis had an RBI single. Davis Munkus had an RBI hit. Chase Mosley drove in a couple runs. With the base hit, Courtney Wilson had a RBI double. And the end result was a 9-run inning for Troup. And this is not unusual for the Tigers to be putting up this kind of run production during this 11-game winning streak. They've been in double digits in runs, I believe, 8 times. And for the season, they've played, I think, 20 games now. And they've been in double digits in runs 13 or 14 times. So this is a very prolific offense. So Jace Foster back out here facing Davis Munkus. And Davis takes the ball. Davis rips that one to center field. Is it gone? Nope, just missed. Davis drove that one to the deepest part of this park, and it was probably about 2 feet from clearing the fence. As it is a double. A leadoff double here in the bottom of the third. So Troup is in business again. And now Carson Walker comes to the plate for the Tigers. And Carson hits that one right over my head. And I mentioned this before, but it was really great to see Carson back out on the pitcher's mound last week. It's been just about a year, I think, since he last pitched. Had an arm injury, but he's back. And there's another hit batter, Carson, that's hit by a pitch. That's, I think, 5 maybe now in this game.
Now batting number 8, Chase Mosley.
So I think that one really, hurt Carson a little bit. So after the Davis Munkus double, Carson Walker is hit by a pitch, and now Chase Mosley comes to the plate. And Chase takes the ball. And again, the best way to describe this offense is just unrelenting. You get past Davis Munkus, you get Carson Walker. You get past Carson, you get Chase Mosley. It's just 1 through 9. There are no holes in this lineup. And Chase with a big swing. I think he was thinking about his 7th home run of the season there. And Chase takes that one out of the strike zone, so it's 2-1 here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. And Troup is leading 9-0 and looking for more. And Chase hits that one hard. Gets past Riley Cockrell, made a nice diving effort there at short, but that ball was just absolutely smoked by Chase. And so he reaches on the base hit. And Troup has the bases loaded in the bottom of the 3rd, leading 9-0. And Courtney Wilson, who had an RBI double during the 9-run 2nd inning, comes to the plate here. Courtney has tremendous power. And Courtney a big swing, but Jace with the nice off-speed pitch there. So Courtney was out in front a little bit. So it's 0-1, bases loaded, no outs. Bottom of the 3rd inning. And another nice pitch for Jace. So now Courtney has an 0-2 count. And that pitch bounces and gets to the backstop, and Davis Munkus comes home and scores on the wild pitch. So Troup, as they have been so often, are in double digits in runs, leading 10-0 now. All right, so now we have runners on 2nd and 3rd, and no outs, and a 1-2 count on Courtney Wilson. And Courtney calls time. Oh, goodness. Watch out in the dugout. Courtney trying to take out his teammates over there. So 1-2 count from Jace Foster to Courtney Wilson here. Runners on 2nd and 3rd, and Troup up 10-0 in the bottom of the 3rd. Courtney puts it in play, and Courtney with fielder's choice. We'll give him an infield single on that. Riley Cockrell, the shortstop. I don't think he would have had a chance to get Courtney at first, so he throws it to 3rd to try to get the out. Did not. And so that's an RBI for Courtney. The RBI by Courtney Wilson gives Troup an 11-0 lead now. And Jake Perry, the pitcher for Troup, comes to the plate. Still no outs in this inning. Courtney Wilson at first, Chase Mosley on 3rd, Almost another hit batter there, but Jake just got out of the way of that one. So it's a 2-0 count now on Jake Perry. Rio. All right, you figure Jake will be taken here on a 3-0 count. And he is, and that is ball 4. So Jake Perry walks to load the bases with no outs.
Up to bat, number 11, Trey Dean.
And Troup is leading 11-0 in the bottom of the 3rd. And the bases are loaded and no outs. And Trey Dean steps to the plate for the Tigers. These two teams will play again Thursday at the Branch at 6 p.m. And there's a strike for Jace. And Trey Dean fouls that one off. So Jace Foster now has an 0-2 count on Trey Dean, and Jace could certainly use a strikeout here. Bases loaded and no outs. And there's a short fly to Nolan Haynes, and with no outs, Chase Mosley wisely stays on 3rd.
Up to bat, number 11, Trey Dean.
Actually, Torian Delaney is now hitting for Troup, the number 9 hitter. And once again, you will not find a better number 9 hitter in the state of Georgia. Clearly, he's could be hitting higher in this lineup, but I know Coach Glisson really likes having him in that number 9 spot as a kind of a second leadoff hitter. And Torian with the base hit. There you go. Again, what a luxury that is to have a guy like that hitting in the number 9 spot in your order. And with that RBI single by Torian Delaney, Troup leads 12-0, and just just a reminder, if Troup gets to 15 runs this inning, the game would end at that point. And this is leadoff hitter Garrison Edwards at the plate for Troup. And Garrison Edwards is now down 0-2. So there is one out in the bottom of the 3rd. And Jake Perry caught it for Troup. With Mason Calhoun charging over. So it's 0-2 count now. Garrison hits it deep to right field. It's foul. And Courtney Wilson comes home with the run. I believe that is Garrison's second sacrifice fly of this game. I think he probably wanted more there, but he did his job. Got the run in to make it 13-0.
Up to bat number 5, Brady Willis.
And now Brady Willis comes to the plate for Troup. And Jace Foster starts Brady Willis with the strike. And pitches out of the strike zone. Nice job by Sam Burns to block that one. All right, Brady Willis with a 1-1 count. The Troup catcher. And Brady puts it in play. Nice job by Jace. Brady's disappointed, but another good inning for Troup, which leads 13-0 after 3 innings. Coach Glisson needs catcher. All right, we will be back with more. Oh, man. Good. How about yourself, man?
The mental health moment of the game. Introducing Coach Clancy Alford, who is currently battling cancer, has taken the steps to take care of his mental health as well as his physical health. Please join me in encouraging, exploring, and walking beside Coach Alford as he continues to fight each day. Coach Alford, the Tiger community is cheering you on.
All right, that's pretty cool. It's mental health night here at Tiger Field, and just got a nice shout out for Coach Clancy Alford. Coach Alford is doing great, which is really so encouraging to hear. Just an awesome guy and a great family. Again, Clancy, like so many of these guys, Clancy, Coach Druidi over there. These are guys I covered when they were in high school. So Jake Perry is back out for his 4th inning. And as you can see, Troup is up 13-0. Scoreless first inning. And then Troup scored 9 runs in the bottom of the second, 4 more runs in the third. And so that's where we stand, with Troup leading 13-0. As the Tigers are going for their 12th straight win overall. They're looking to improve to 9-0 and reach into AAA. Coach Richie Barber, the legend. That's awesome. And there's a foul ball. So the Tigers, you know, as everybody knows so well, they won the AAA state championship last season, the first state title in the history of this program. And they're looking to go back to back. It is very hard to do that, but this Troup team certainly looks capable of making it happen. There's some really good teams in AAA, including a very talented Pickens team that Troup beat here in a very exciting playoff series a year ago. And this is Mason Calhoun at bat for LaGrange. Just what a valuable player Mason is for the Grangers. As a pitcher, as a first baseman, and obviously what he does with a bat in his hands. Mason hit a home run, a big home run last week against Sandy Creek. And Mason was very excited about that because that was his first home run at home. So that was a really cool moment for Mason. And Mason, nice job there. Takes a 3-2 pitch out of the strike zone for the leadoff walk.
Number 11, Cam Kissen.
And senior Cam Kissen steps to the plate for LaGrange, and Cam has had a really nice season for the Grangers. He's a senior. He's waited his turn. And he's got an opportunity this season, and he is really making the most of it.
Good move.
It's Rylan Cantrell warming up for Troup. So he might get the call here sooner than later. And that pitch is low, so it's a 2-1 count on Cam Kissen. Nice play, Mr. Stewart. Troup principal Chet Stewart making the play out there. So it's now a 2-2 count on Cam Kissen. And that one's out of the strike zone, so 3-2 is the count. And Mason Calhoun and Cam Kissen start at the top of the fourth with walks. And Coach Barber, Coach Blake Barber going out to talk. To Jake Perry. All right, so now Lakin Tippy comes up for LaGrange. with the runners on first and second, no outs. This was also the situation in the first inning when LaGrange had first and second and no outs, and Jake got through that unscathed. Let's see what he can do here. And I got another really nice play.
Don't let him make that call for you.
Number 3, Mikey Parker.
Okay, they actually called him safe at first. Okay, I thought he was out. Okay, they ruled that Courtney Wilson's foot was off the bag, so that's an infield single for Mikey Parker. So LaGrange has the bases loaded and no outs. So bases loaded, no outs. Mikey Parker at the plate for LaGrange. And that one is up and out of the strike zone, so it's a 1-2 count on Mikey Parker. And that one is low, so it's a 2-2 count. And, oh goodness. And that is strike 3 on Mikey Parker. Bobby, the home plate umpire, called that a swing. So that is the first out here in the top of the fourth. LaGrange still has the bases loaded. Now with 1 out, and Nolan Haynes is at the plate for the Grangers. And that's a strike. And now it's an 0-2 count on Nolan Haynes as Jake Perry looks to get through this inning. LaGrange had the bases loaded with no outs. Now 1 out, and it's an 0-2 count. And Nolan takes strike 3. So now Jake Perry is 1 out away from getting through this with no run scoring. Again, LaGrange had the bases loaded, no outs. Now 2 outs. And Matthew Skinner is at the plate. And there's the strike. Oh, wow. My goodness. Holy cow. You talk about reflexes. My goodness. What a play. What a play by Troup first baseman Courtney Wilson. That sure looked like it was going to be a hit. But Courtney somehow leaps, makes that play. My goodness, again, just one of the key aspects to this Troup team is their defense across the board, infield, outfield. They just steal a lot of runs from opponents. Chase Mosley, the shortstop, did it earlier when he made a great play to end the first inning. And then Courtney Wilson there, just an awesome play. I hope my camera work was quick enough to get that play. That was really special. So LaGrange had the bases loaded and no outs in the top of the fourth. but Jake Perry gets out of it without any run scoring. And so we're heading to the bottom of the 4th inning now. All right, here's Davis Monkus, who's had a big night for the Troup Tigers. And once again, I think I mentioned this earlier, Davis Monkus and Chase Mosley both receive offers from Georgia Southern. So congratulations to them. That is a really big deal. All right, hey everybody, I think I did not mean to end the previous live video, so we'll just get started again here. Davis Monkus, sorry I missed that, but Davis Monkus got the bottom of the 4th, started with the base hit. It's Wyatt Martin, I believe, pitching for LaGrange. So Davis Monkus gets the bottom of the 4th, started with the base hit. Carson Walker follows with another base hit. And so now it's runners on 1st and 2nd and no outs for the for the Tigers.
Now batting number 8, Chase.
And again, just go back and watch the previous 2 live videos. Between those 2 and this one, that will be the whole game. So I'll try when I get back home, I will put all 3 of those together and give you the full broadcast. So 13-0, Troup is leading in the bottom of the 4th inning. And if Troup scores 2 runs, this game is over. And Chase Mosley at the plate for the Tigers. Chase is having an awesome season. Deep fly. Not quite enough, though. So Chase Mosley hits it deep to right field, but it's just allowed out. So there is now 1 out in the bottom of the 4th. And Troup is leading 13-0 over LaGrange. And Courtney Wilson, who's had a really nice night. And again, what a play he made. If you watch the previous live video, right at the tail end of that, you will see the play that Courtney made at first base, and it was spectacular. I mean, he went way up to make that play, to make that catch, to end the top of the 4th and keep LaGrange scoreless. And Courtney with the fielder's choice. It's a nice play by Mikey Parker there at 2nd to get the 4th out at 2nd.
Up to bat, number 10, Jake Perry.
So Jake Perry now steps to the plate for Troup. Jake has pitched 4 shutout innings for the Tigers. LaGrange just has some traffic in this game. They had 2 base runners in the first inning with no outs. The base is loaded in the 4th inning, also with no outs. But the Grangers have yet to score against Jake. And Jake takes that pitch for a strike. And that one's up and out of the strike zone, so it's a 1-1 count on Jake Peary with runners on 1st and 3rd and 2 outs, and Troup leading 13-0. And Jake hits it hard on the ground, but LaGrange makes the play. So we head to the top of the 5th inning, and Troup will look to finish this one off. If Troup is ahead by 10 or more runs after this half inning, the game will end at that point. Okay, I was wondering if Jake Peary would come back out, and it looks like he is. See Coach Tanner Glisson.
We compete hard, but as a community, we stand united in supporting
Coach Glisson led the Tigers to the state championship last season.
Talk to someone. There's always hope. Let's take the time to raise our green glow sticks or phone.
You see Rylan Cantrell going to get back out there, loosen up some more in case he's needed.
You have a phone flashlight, raise it. Everyone look around.
So 13-0, headed to the 5th inning. And again, if you go back and watch the previous 2 live videos, you take those 2 and this one, you'll get the full game.
Reach out and talk to somebody. Thank you for helping us raise awareness for mental health. Now, Granger and Tiger fans, let's get ready for this next inning.
Troup is trying to win its 12th straight game and improve to 9-0 in Region 2 AAA. And there's one out. Torian Delaney makes the play at second. That was Woods Carter, the number 9 hitter, grounding out. Now we're back at the top of the lineup with Riley Cockrell. And Riley takes 2 pitches. They're out of the strike zone, so it's a 2-0 count. And obviously, the last thing Jake wants to do is walk anybody here with his team leading 13-0. And there's a strike on the 3-0 count right down the middle. And a swinging strike makes it 3-2 here in the top of the 5th. And I think Riley thought that might have been a ball, but it was called a strike for the second out in the top of the 5th. So we are 1 out away now. Troup is leading 13 to nothing in the top of the 5th inning.
Number 17, Sam Burns.
And Sam Burns comes to the plate for LaGrange. And there's a strike, so that's an 0-1 count. So 1-1 count on Sam Burns. 1-2 count, so we could be one pitch away here from Troup securing this win. And Sam pops it up, and Carson Walker makes the play at third base, and that's it. Troup wins 13 to nothing in the first of 2 games this week between Troup and LaGrange. They will meet again on Thursday at the Branch. First pitch at 6 p.m., but man, what an impressive win for Troup, and this team just keeps on rolling. 12 straight wins now. The Tigers are 9-0 and reaching 2 AAA. And they are looking every bit like a team capable of winning back-to-back state championships. A long way to go, but man, they are looking good right now. So once again, Troup beats LaGrange 13 to nothing, and we will have a lot more in this game later.